Have you ever wondered if fasting might be the key to unlocking an untapped source of spiritual power? Get ready for a revelation that could transform your faith. Today, we're diving into the practice of fasting, a topic that is often misunderstood, and exploring how it can serve as the gateway to an immediate and profound connection with the divine. Over the course of this discussion, we'll challenge the way you see fasting, awaken your curiosity, and show you how this ancient practice can provide spiritual rewards that are tangible and life-changing. If you're ready to embark on a journey that could reshape your understanding of faith, stay with us. Don't miss a single moment. This is your chance to uncover the true meaning of fasting. Let's dive right in. God designed the human body to function as an extraordinarily precise and powerful machine. It's engineered to perform with immense capability, but in order to sustain itself, it requires fuel, which we know as food. To ensure we feed ourselves, God created hunger, an internal mechanism that signals our need for nourishment. Eating satisfies this drive, provides energy, and helps sustain life. It's a beautiful system, intricately woven into the balance of nature and survival. But then a question arises: why would anyone willingly deprive themselves of food? In modern times, we've been conditioned to eat multiple times a day. From an early age, we're taught about the importance of a nutritious breakfast to start the day right. Messages everywhere reinforce the idea that eating 3 well-balanced meals is essential to maintaining strength and staying healthy. This knowledge is drilled into us through education, healthcare, and even culture. Despite this, some people make the conscious decision to forgo eating. Not for the purpose of losing weight or improving physical health, but for reasons that are spiritual in nature. This decision is rooted in a practice known as fasting, and it's been a part of spiritual disciplines for thousands of years. The Bible often highlights fasting as a deliberate choice to abstain from food for a specific period of time, with the goal of achieving a spiritual purpose. This act of fasting invites us to see hunger not just as a biological function, but as a way to bridge the gap between the physical and the spiritual. It's a practice that offers a fascinating lens through which we can examine the relationship between body, mind, and spirit. For example, in the Old Testament, fasting was a significant part of Jewish tradition. One of the most prominent examples is the annual fast described in Leviticus 16, verse 29. In this passage, God gave specific instructions. On the 10th day of the 7th month, you shall afflict your souls and do no work, whether you are a native-born citizen or a stranger who resides among you. This solemn day is known as Yom Kippur, or the Day of Atonement. The purpose of the fast observed on Yom Kippur was clear. It was a day of solemn reflection on the gift of salvation. On this holy day, the high priest would enter the most sacred space in the temple, known as the Holy of Holies, to offer the blood of a sacrificed animal as atonement for the sins of the people. Leviticus 16 verse 24 describes the meticulous process involved. He shall wash his body with water in the holy place, put on his sacred garments, and then come out to offer his own burnt offering and the burnt offering of the people, making atonement for himself and the people. This practice was not limited to the high priest alone. The entire community would fast, identifying with the priest's act of sacrifice and participating in the spiritual significance of the day. A lamb would be offered on behalf of the nation's sins, symbolizing the need for divine forgiveness and the cost of reconciliation with God. The idea of fasting as a spiritual discipline didn't end with the Old Testament. Jesus himself provided instructions on the practice. In Matthew 6 verse 16 to 18, he told his disciples, "When you fast, do not look somber like the hypocrites who disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen. And your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you." This teaching is incredibly profound because it shifts the focus away from fasting as an outward display and emphasizes the importance of sincerity. Fasting, in Jesus' words, is meant to be a private act of devotion. It's not about earning praise from others or showing off one's spirituality. Instead, it's an intimate gesture directed toward God, a personal expression of faith, repentance, and humility. When practiced with the right heart, fasting becomes a powerful way to draw God's attention. By giving up something as essential and pleasurable as food, we demonstrate our reliance on Him. Jesus made it clear that the reward for fasting isn't public approval or recognition, but something far greater: spiritual renewal and closeness to God. Yet, for many people, fasting can seem intimidating, especially if it's a completely new experience. The idea of going without food might feel overwhelming or even impractical in our modern lives. For instance, you might wonder, will I be able to handle the hunger? What about the headaches or fatigue? There's also the worry about how others might perceive you. Will my friends think I'm strange if I tell them I'm fasting? But fasting is not about meeting the expectations of others. It's a deeply personal spiritual exercise that centers on your relationship with God. Jesus' guidance in Matthew 6, verse 17 to 18 reminds us of this. When you fast, anoint your head and wash your face so that you do not appear to others to be fasting, but to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. These words encourage us to view fasting as a private act of worship, something between us and God alone. Even though fasting is often a solitary practice, there are moments in the Bible where fasting was done collectively. For instance, Ezra gathered a group of 4,000 people to fast and pray together as they sought God's help. And Esther called for a nationwide fast among the Jewish people when facing a critical moment. These stories show that fasting can also be an act of unity and solidarity within a community, bringing people together for a shared spiritual purpose. In today's world, we see echoes of this in events like the National Day of Prayer and Fasting, which takes place every May. This event invites believers to join together in prayer and fasting, seeking divine intervention not only for their personal lives, but for the nation as a whole. Fasting is more than just abstaining from food. It's a spiritual discipline with profound meaning. Each type of fast serves a unique purpose, often accompanied by prayer, and can act as a powerful tool for spiritual growth. If you've never fasted before, the idea of skipping meals or abstaining from food altogether might seem intimidating or even impractical. After all, we've grown up in a culture where eating 3 meals a day is not only normalized but considered essential for maintaining energy and productivity. Many people wonder, how will I handle the hunger? Or what about the physical discomfort? Will I be able to endure it? Then there's the social aspect to consider. What if my friends or coworkers find out I'm fasting? Will they think I'm strange or judge me for it? These concerns are understandable, but they don't define fasting. Fasting is not about fitting in or impressing others. It is a deeply personal and spiritual practice that goes beyond the physical act of not eating. When done with the right mindset, fasting is about strengthening your connection with God and drawing closer to Him in a way that transcends earthly concerns. Jesus addressed this very issue in Matthew 6, verse 17 to 18, saying, "When you fast, anoint your head and wash your face so that you do not appear to others to be fasting, but to your Father who is in the secret place, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you." This instruction serves as a reminder that fasting is not a performance for others to see. It is an act of worship and faith that takes place in the quiet intimacy of your relationship with God. Fasting is often a private, solitary commitment. However, there are occasions when fasting is practiced collectively. In the Bible, there are numerous examples of community-wide fasts that served a shared purpose. One such example can be found in the book of Ezra, where the prophet led a group of 4,000 people in fasting and prayer to seek God's guidance and protection for a critical mission. Similarly, in the book of Esther, Queen Esther called on all Jewish people to join her in fasting for 3 days as they sought divine intervention to protect their people from destruction. These examples illustrate the dual nature of fasting. It can be a personal, intimate experience, but it can also bring people together in moments of unity and solidarity. In contemporary times, we see this echoed in events like the annual National Day of Prayer and Fasting. Every May, Christians across the country are invited to come together to pray and fast, reflecting on their faith and seeking God's intervention not just for themselves, but for their communities and society as a whole. This collective act underscores the power of fasting to strengthen both individual and communal bonds, emphasizing the importance of nurturing both personal and shared faith. Fasting is not simply about restricting food for the sake of it. While many associate fasting with physical benefits, such as detoxing or weight loss, its spiritual roots go much deeper. In a Christian context, fasting is a biblical discipline grounded in prayer, sacrifice, and a heartfelt desire to connect with God. It's a way to discipline the body and open the spirit to divine guidance and transformation. There are various types of fasts, each with its own focus and purpose, and often paired with prayer to maximize their spiritual impact. For example, some people choose a complete fast, refraining from both food and drink, while others opt for partial fasts, where certain foods or drinks are eliminated. In every case, fasting serves as a catalyst for deepening faith and enhancing one's ability to pray with clarity and purpose. Spiritual exercises like fasting require discipline. Some people mistakenly think that living a Christian life is easy or requires no effort. However, Scripture teaches us that spiritual growth requires intention and practice, just like physical training does for athletes. As followers of Christ, we are called to engage in various spiritual disciplines, and fasting is one of the most significant among them. Jesus himself explained the importance of fasting in the context of intercessory prayer. He taught his disciples that when they prayed for the church, for the salvation of souls, or for deliverance, they would face spiritual resistance. Fasting, in this context, can be seen as a powerful tool to overcome those obstacles. It's like climbing a mountain. It requires both physical and spiritual endurance to reach the summit. For those who are new to fasting, it's important to start small. Taking modest steps will make the process less intimidating and allow you to gradually build your confidence. Even skipping just one meal as an act of faith can be significant in the eyes of God. What might seem like a minor sacrifice to others is a meaningful gesture to Him when done with sincerity and purpose. When fasting, it's not just the act of abstaining from food that matters. It's the intention and the condition of your heart. Think of it like a man proposing to the woman he loves. The length of his proposal doesn't matter as much as the sincerity of his words and the depth of his love. Similarly, in fasting, God values the purity of your heart and the intensity of your prayers more than the duration or difficulty of the fast. If you're new to fasting, don't stress about how long you should go without food. Start with something manageable, like skipping a meal, and focus on maintaining a strong connection with God throughout the process. As you grow more comfortable with fasting, you can gradually extend the duration or explore different types of fasts. Historically, the Jewish people observed a full day of fasting on Yom Kippur, starting at sunset and ending at sunset the following day. This tradition, rooted in Genesis 1 verse 5, method of counting days, and there was evening, and there was morning. The first day provides a clear structure for fasting that can be especially helpful for beginners. You might choose to start your fast just before dinner, skipping the evening meal as well as breakfast and lunch the next day, and then breaking your fast after sunset. This method allows you to focus on prayer and spiritual growth without overwhelming your body. If you're hesitant about fasting alone, consider fasting with a partner. While private fasting and prayer form the foundation of a strong spiritual life, having someone else join you in the experience can provide encouragement and accountability. If your fast is focused on a specific prayer request or spiritual goal, inviting a trusted friend or family member to participate with you can make the journey even more meaningful. Jesus spoke about the power of unity in Matthew 18 verse 19. If two of you agree on earth about anything they ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. This principle applies not only to prayer, but also to the shared commitment of fasting. When you fast with someone else, you're able to support each other, share your struggles, and celebrate your spiritual victories together. Fasting with a partner can also help alleviate fears or anxieties about the practice. If you're worried about feeling weak or tempted, having a companion to lean on can make all the difference. You can encourage each other, share tips for staying focused, and check in on each other's progress. This sense of camaraderie can give you the strength to push through challenging moments and keep your eyes fixed on your spiritual goals. When your fasting period comes to an end, take time to reflect on the experience and celebrate what you've learned. If you fasted with a partner, celebrate together. This moment of reflection can deepen your bond and reinforce the spiritual growth you've achieved. Fasting with someone else also creates a sense of accountability. Knowing that your friend or partner is aware of your commitment can reduce the temptation to give up or make small compromises, like sneaking a snack. Just as exercising with a workout partner can motivate you to stick to your fitness goals, fasting with someone else can help you stay focused and committed. Fasting with someone else also deepens the bonds between you. Sharing an experience like this creates a unique connection as you both navigate the challenges and rewards of the practice together. It's a form of spiritual solidarity, one that unites participants in a common purpose and strengthens the ties of friendship or fellowship. When the fasting period ends, the celebration is often sweeter when shared. Take a moment to reflect on the spiritual achievements and revelations you've gained. If you fasted with a companion, come together to discuss how the experience impacted you both. The journey you shared becomes a meaningful memory that continues to strengthen your relationship. Think about it this way. Climbing a mountain alone is an impressive feat, but the solitude limits the joy of the accomplishment. However, when you climb that same mountain with a companion, the journey becomes something far greater. The trials you faced together, the encouragement you gave each other, and the triumph you share at the summit make the experience profoundly more fulfilling. Similarly, completing a fast alongside someone else adds depth and richness to the spiritual rewards you receive. Additionally, fasting with a companion helps maintain focus. When you know that someone else is relying on your mutual support, it becomes easier to stick to the commitment and avoid distractions. The presence of a friend who understands your challenges can make all the difference in those moments when you feel tempted to quit. When preparing to fast, it's crucial to approach the practice with a clear purpose. Before beginning, take some time to reflect inwardly and ask yourself why you're choosing to fast. What is the motivation behind your decision? Fasting isn't just about skipping meals or spending more time in prayer. It's about doing so with intention and a goal in mind. The reasons for fasting can vary greatly from person to person. Some fast to seek clarity on a difficult decision, others to ask for healing, and still others to grow closer to God. Just as David faced Goliath with a clear and unwavering purpose, you too must identify your why. Without a defined goal, fasting can feel aimless or even burdensome. But when you fast with a purpose in mind, every hunger pang and every moment of prayer becomes infused with meaning. To solidify your commitment, it's helpful to write down your reasons for fasting. Putting your intentions on paper makes them tangible and concrete. It serves as a visual reminder of why you're undertaking this spiritual discipline, especially during moments of weakness when you may be tempted to give up. Keeping your motivations in mind sharpens your focus and reinforces the seriousness of your commitment. This simple act of writing down your reasons transforms abstract thoughts into an actionable plan. It also provides clarity, helping you stay on track when doubts or distractions arise. For example, if your fast is intended to seek God's guidance on a specific matter, writing this down gives you something to revisit throughout the fast. Keeping your prayers aligned with your purpose. Careful preparation is essential for a successful fast. It's important not to begin fasting casually or without planning ahead. Fasting is not just about testing your limits or proving your willpower. It's about dedicating yourself to a spiritual pursuit with intention and preparation. By firmly committing to your fast, you transform your desire for greater spirituality into deliberate action. As you prepare, make sure you're realistic about your goals and expectations. If you're new to fasting, it's best to start small. For example, instead of attempting a 3-day fast right away, you might begin with a 1-day fast, similar to the fast observed on Yom Kippur. This approach allows you to ease into the practice while still experiencing its spiritual benefits. Starting with a normal fast, where you abstain from solid food, but continue drinking liquids can also help your body adjust. This gradual approach minimizes the risk of adverse physical reactions and allows you to focus more on the spiritual aspects of fasting. Once you've gained experience and confidence, you can explore stricter forms of fasting, such as abstaining from both food and water for a limited time. When deciding which type of fast to undertake, consider the purpose behind your fast and align it with the method you choose. For routine spiritual requests, a normal fast may be sufficient. However, for more serious concerns or situations requiring deep intercession, you might consider a stricter fast. It's also important to choose a fasting method that you feel comfortable with. The type of fast you undertake should reflect your personal convictions and your readiness for the challenge. Avoid choosing a fast that leaves you feeling uncertain or guilty, as these emotions can distract from the spiritual benefits of the practice. Instead, opt for a fast that you can approach with confidence, knowing that your decision aligns with both your goals and your abilities. Another factor to consider is timing. Reflect on your weekly schedule and identify days that might be more or less suitable for fasting. For example, if you know you have a busy day filled with physical activity, it might not be the best time to begin your fast. Similarly, avoid fasting during special events or celebrations, such as holidays or weddings, where abstaining from food could create unnecessary challenges. When you're just starting out, it's best to avoid prolonged fasts. Longer periods of fasting can be physically and emotionally demanding, and it's important to understand how your body and emotions will respond before committing to a more extended fast. Starting with a one-day fast is a great way to ease into the discipline while still making a meaningful act of faith. Remember, fasting is an act of devotion, not a competition. Whether your fast lasts for a few hours, a day, or longer, God sees the intention behind your sacrifice and honors your commitment. The Bible also presents a variety of fasting methods, each with unique spiritual significance. One of the most intense forms of fasting is the absolute fast, which involves complete abstinence from both food and water. For example, Paul undertook an absolute fast for 3 days following his encounter with Jesus on the road to Damascus. Acts 9:9 records, "For 3 days he was blind, and he did not eat or drink anything." This type of fast is rare and should not be attempted lightly. Absolute fasting is typically reserved for moments of deep spiritual distress. When someone is seeking God's intervention for a critical situation, such as breaking free from an addiction, facing an overwhelming trial, or praying against a powerful spiritual threat. If you're new to fasting, it's not advisable to begin with an absolute fast, as it places significant physical and spiritual demands on the body. Another common method is the normal fast, where you abstain from all solid foods but continue to drink water or other liquids. This is the most frequently mentioned type of fasting in the Bible, as it allows individuals to maintain hydration while forgoing food. This method is often practiced during periods of extended fasting, as it provides balance between spiritual focus and physical well-being. For those seeking a less intense option, a partial fast can be a meaningful alternative. A partial fast involves abstaining from certain types of food or drink rather than avoiding all nourishment entirely. One example of this is the Daniel fast, inspired by the prophet Daniel's decision to abstain from the royal delicacies of King Nebuchadnezzar's court. In Daniel 1 verse 12, Daniel requested, "Please test your servants for 10 days. Give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink." This approach to fasting was not harmful to Daniel or his companions. In fact, the results were transformative, as their health improved and their faith deepened. Later in Daniel 10:3, he undertook another partial fast, during which he avoided rich foods, meat, and wine, saying, "I ate no choice food, no meat or wine touched my lips, and I used no lotions at all until the 3 weeks were over." This illustrates how fasting can vary in intensity depending on the individual's purpose and circumstances. A partial fast can also involve abstaining from foods that bring particular pleasure or indulgence. For example, this might include desserts, rich meals, or specific drinks like coffee or wine. By choosing to give up something significant, you create space to focus on God while still maintaining a basic level of sustenance. Other notable fasts include the practices of historical church leaders, such as John Wesley. As the founder of the Methodist movement, Wesley approached fasting with a combination of discipline and spiritual intentionality. Before each major meeting or gathering of his preachers, Wesley would fast for 10 days, consuming only wholemeal bread and water. These fasting periods served to spiritually prepare Wesley and his team, strengthening them for their ministry and deepening their reliance on God. Interestingly, fasting has also been adapted for medical purposes, such as identifying food allergies or sensitivities. This process often begins with a short absolute or normal fast to cleanse the system, followed by the gradual reintroduction of specific food groups. Over the course of several days, individuals test their body's response to different foods, identifying potential triggers for adverse reactions. While this is not a spiritual fast, it reflects the principle of intentionality and discipline that also characterizes biblical fasting. When deciding how to begin your fast, there are several factors to consider. First, think about your experience level. If this is your first time fasting, it's wise to start with a single day. This mirrors the tradition of Yom Kippur, where fasting from sunset to sunset offers a manageable yet impactful introduction to the practice. If you're seeking to address a deeper or more prolonged issue, you might consider fasting 1 day per week over the course of 3 weeks, rather than jumping straight into a 3-day fast. As a beginner, think of fasting as a journey into unfamiliar territory. Just as you wouldn't attempt to scale a mountain without preparation, fasting requires careful planning and gradual acclimatization. This approach allows you to develop the skills and attitudes necessary to sustain your spiritual growth while also caring for your body. Starting with a normal fast, where you consume only liquids, is an excellent way to prepare your body and mind for the practice. Over time, as you gain confidence and experience, you can explore stricter types of fasting, such as an absolute fast. The type of fast you choose should also align with the purpose of your fast. A normal fast may be well suited for routine spiritual requests, while an absolute fast might be appropriate for more urgent or serious matters, such as seeking deliverance from a major struggle or praying for resolution to a critical situation. Matching your fasting method to your spiritual goal helps create a sense of focus and intention, allowing you to approach the practice with clarity and purpose. At the same time, it's essential to feel comfortable with your decision. Avoid choosing a fast that leaves you second-guessing or feeling overwhelmed by doubt. Instead, select a method and duration that align with your level of experience and confidence. This way, you can focus on the spiritual benefits of fasting without being distracted by unnecessary guilt or hesitation. Timing is another important consideration. Look at your schedule and evaluate when fasting will best fit into your life. For instance, if you have a particularly demanding week ahead, it might not be the right time to begin a fast. Similarly, if you have upcoming commitments like a holiday gathering, a wedding, or a business lunch, it's wise to plan your fast around these events. Fasting should never feel forced or burdensome. It should feel intentional and meaningful. If this is your first fast, it's a good idea to start with a shorter duration. Longer fasts, while powerful, can be physically and emotionally challenging. A 1-day fast, regardless of the type, is an excellent starting point that allows you to ease into the practice. As you grow more comfortable and confident, you can gradually increase the length or intensity of your fast. Remember that fasting is an act of faith. Whether you fast for a single day or an extended period, what truly matters is the sincerity of your heart and your desire to draw closer to God. He sees your intentions and honors your commitment, no matter the length or difficulty of the fast. Keep in mind that fasting is not a performance or competition. It's an intimate act of devotion and faith. Even the smallest act of fasting, when done sincerely, is significant in the eyes of God. Whether you fast for a single meal, a full day, or an extended period, what matters most is your heart's intention and the depth of your desire to draw closer to Him. Prayer plays an essential role in fasting. As you prepare to fast, take time to pray and ask God for wisdom and guidance. Seek clarity about the purpose of your fast and invite Him to strengthen your resolve. The act of fasting is not about the physical deprivation of food itself, but about turning your heart and mind toward God in a deeper way. As Jesus reminded us in Matthew 6, verse 7 to 18, fasting is not for show or to gain the approval of others. Instead, it is a private act of devotion, seen only by God, who rewards what is done in secret. The sincerity of your heart matters far more than the length or difficulty of your fast. Prayerfully approach fasting with the understanding that it is an opportunity to rely more fully on God. By voluntarily giving up food or other physical pleasures, you create space to seek Him with greater focus and intensity. Fasting teaches us to depend on His strength rather than our own, reminding us that our true sustenance comes from Him alone. As you fast, don't be discouraged if you encounter challenges or moments of weakness. These are natural and even expected, especially for those who are new to fasting. Rather than focusing on your discomfort, use those moments as opportunities to turn to God in prayer. Remember that He sees your efforts and honors your faithfulness, even in the midst of struggle. If this message has resonated with you and you found value in exploring the spiritual discipline of fasting, we encourage you to take the next step. Consider committing to a fast of your own, whether it's for a single meal, a day, or longer. Let the lessons of Scripture and the teachings of Jesus guide you as you embark on this journey. If you would like to stay connected and continue learning more about topics like this, we invite you to subscribe to our channel or community. By subscribing, you won't miss any future content that can help deepen your understanding of faith and spiritual practices. Together, we can inspire and encourage each other on this journey of faith. Thank you for joining us today. May God bless you as you seek Him through fasting and prayer. May He strengthen your heart, renew your spirit, and reveal His presence to you in new and powerful ways. Amen.